Good morning. This is Sam with Troops Mowing. I just got off of a interview/meeting with Jaylin from Straight Edge Landscaping, and he is such an awesome guy. I met him at Landscape Summit, and he sounds like he's pretty hard charging and ready to get after it, opening up a new location in Leander, Texas. And we had a good hour-long conversation about tips and tricks, learning more about his company, and offering some insight into how to know your numbers, how to set pricing, and how to grow his company. His goal is to get to 500,000 next year, and I believe he's going to surpass it. So I hope you enjoy this interview, and please leave a comment and let us know if you would like to schedule one yourself. Thank you.
1, 2, 3, 4.
What's going on, Jaylin?
Hey Sam, good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm great.
You can hear me good and see me good?
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you being so flexible. I know we had this originally scheduled for Wednesday, and then
Yeah, that's all right.
you're close enough to me where we had a lot of rain and stuff. How did you hold up in terms of rescheduling or routing? How did you hold up with all this rain?
I wasn't too bad coming off of Landscape Summit and things like that. We told our client list that these next 2 weeks may be a little weird just due to the trip and then coming back to a lot of rain and stuff. So it wasn't too tricky. We had a couple of projects that we were able to push back, so it all worked out.
Yeah, that's cool. How did you like the Landscape Summit?
It was great. It was. I commented on one of Mike's posts. It was 11 out of 10. It was everything I wanted and more. It was awesome.
It was cool. Was that your first conference?
First, just landscape conference. Yeah, I've been to Equip last year, but as far as just landscaping and that's the main focus. Yeah.
Cool. And did you stay for GIE this year?
Mm-hmm.
How was that?
It was great. I took some classes there too. I looked at a little bit of equipment, but I'm really there for the education. That's what I like to go for the most. And I don't have 50, 60K to just drop on a new mower or something, but it was cool to see everything too.
Yeah, that's cool. I wish I could have stayed for the expo. I haven't been able to go to a GIE expo ever.
No way.
Yeah, so I really wanted to go, but we have a 10-month-old son, and my wife was just about to start her new job on the 19th, which I believe was a day after conference, maybe something like that. So I had to sprint home and be there for that. But I saw photos, and Will Kelly, one of the guys, the speakers at the conference, he was telling me how all that was. I'm just like, man, that would have been
Yeah,
super
you gotta
cool.
go.
Yeah,
You should try to make it next year. I don't have a big team now, but I want to be able to provide that to take us all there next year.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of your team, give me a little background. And if I look away, I don't want to be rude or anything. Just taking notes. Give me a quick background or rundown on your company, how many customers you have. This is being recorded as we talked about, so you don't have to share anything too personal if you don't want to.
Okay.
But in terms of revenue, if you want to share where you're at, just to give me a better picture.
Yeah. Customer-wise, we have a customer base of 300, but I say active. We only have about 7 to 10 lawn clients on routine maintenance because most of our revenue comes from landscaping. So we do a lot of gravel work, sod replacements, tree trimming, aeration, things like that. I'd probably say we're 80% landscaping and 30% maintenance.
Okay, I got you. And then when you're saying landscaping, you're talking about everything you just listed. So aeration, tree trimming, gravel install.
Exactly. Projects, paper walkways, things like that.
Okay, cool. Well, since we're so close in radius, I definitely am taking notes to refer people out because we get a lot of requests for aeration and tree trimming is a big request that we get, and we don't specialize in that.
Gotcha.
So if you're willing to travel up to Hutto, I got some work for you up here, man.
20 minutes away. So,
We just had somebody actually 2 nights ago ask for tree trimming, so I'll make a note of that right now.
Okay.
And go ahead.
I was in commercial landscaping before we got started, so I have a lot of experience with business units and things like that.
Cool. And what in commercial landscaping, I guess what kind of projects were they doing similar to what you're offering now?
Actually, it was the opposite. So it was almost all maintenance.
Okay.
So I worked for an investment company who owns about, I think, 100,000 acres worth of real estate. So it was all between here, Westlake, Bee Caves, downtown Austin. So we maintained all their properties, green belts, lakes, all kind of stuff, and we did tree trimming there, hedge trimming, year round. So we're
Oh, wow.
talking, like I said, 100 acres worth of, sorry, 100,000 acres worth of real estate.
Yeah. And what kind of difference? Well, I guess two-part question. What made you want to get out of that and start your own venture? And then what kind of mentality shift did you have throughout that process? Do you love the decision you've made? Or are there some sort of like reservations where you wish you would have stayed a little bit longer? Talk to me about that whole process.
So I actually love this question because it's very dear to me.
Yeah.
Everybody loves how they got started.
Yeah.
So I was there for about 3 years. Fresh out of college, I went to A&M Corpus for finance, and it just didn't work out too well. So I ended up coming back, and then my friend's like, "Hey, there's this job doing landscaping." I was like, "Sure, let's do it." Cut grass as a kid. So started there, and it just wasn't what I thought it was. It wasn't a landscape company. It was a real estate company that had a landscape maintenance team for the investment company. So we just managed all the properties. So it wasn't a good headspace. I was about 18 to 20 years old working there, and there's just guys like showing up late, doing drugs on lunch, and doing a really bad things for a young developing mind that I just could not surround myself around.
Yeah.
And it just came to a boiling point. It was March 2020. I don't know if you're familiar, but like the George Floyd murder happened that same month, and my boss was like, "Good thing Jay wasn't here. We probably would have to call the cops." So that was really like it was wild. I have the screenshot of the text when he sent me that, and that was the day I quit. And I was like, I can't take this anymore. Like I was the best guy they had, and just was treated like I wasn't even there. It was wild. So
That blows my mind.
was that?
That blows my mind that
Oh,
your
that's
boss
crazy.
was.
It's crazy. I can show you the screenshot.
I believe you. That's just mind blowing.
Yeah, it's wild. But that was really like my leap of faith, and I told my mom and my best friend, like, I'm never coming back to this place. So I did that, and really just never looked back. And I started with a little mower and my mom's Toyota Camry.
Yeah, man.
So I was good, man. And mower didn't even work. I didn't even know what like a new blade was. So I'm just cutting a dozen yards with the dullest blade. I was like, oh,
Dude,
it gets better.
the exact same. My very first year, yeah, I would say my first full like year, I was out of my wife's. I think I said this at the conference. I was out of my wife's Ford Focus, and I had like just a cheap 21-inch push mower. I didn't sharpen a blade that whole year.
Yeah.
I didn't change oil that whole year. Yeah. So we have very similar starts, and that's super awesome to hear. So it was March 2020 is when you decided to start, or it was when you decided you were going to get out of?
Both.
Okay.
So I got out March 2020, and that was COVID. That's when COVID hit,
Yeah.
actually. So we just ran that whole year, and it was December 2020 when I filed the LLC.
Okay. Dude, exact same. December. That's
Oh,
great.
no way.
December 2020. Yeah, is when
Oh,
we
it's not
incorporated.
crazy.
That's super cool. So you have 300 customer base. Is that
Yeah.
just the amount of like emails, contacts you have?
Exactly.
And then in terms of reoccurring customers, let's say that you have 10 reoccurring maintenance customers, and
Yes.
then 80% of your revenue is coming from landscaping. Do you have any sort of reoccurring model with that landscaping, or is it all just you're as good as your last sale?
So I guess that's a good question. We don't really have one. So this kind of is like if this feels like our first year, and I'll give you a little background on that. So like I said, 2020 is our intro year. 2021, we really like did it. In 2022, I actually tore my MCL and an injury. So I was out of the season, literally. So like I was on crutches for 6 months. So it was just a rough year mentally and financially. So this year feels like our best year. So this is really what feels like. This feels like our base. So like I'm really building off of what happened this year as our how to move forward. But I don't have a model for it. But we do some cold outreach to the email list for like, hey, spring's here, summer's here, fall's here. Update your flower beds, mulch, tree trimming, things like that. And I sent out an email blast, I think, right before I left for the expo, and we got a couple leads off of that and turned it to about grand of work to come back to. So that was cool.
Yeah.
But like I said, I'm not a marketer, so maybe the copy wasn't the best, but I'd like a higher conversion rate on that.
Yeah, sure. And then with that email, how was it structured? I know that you kind of had your intro, you probably had your offer. What is like the very last line that you're putting in these emails to kind of get somebody to respond?
Yeah. So the intro is like falls here, schedule your landscaping projects, mulch, da 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 da, whatever it is now. Through I try to like put an offer in there, like save 15% if you schedule by December 3rd, something like that. And then the last line is like link below for an instant quote, things like that.
Okay, cool. Only reason I ask is when we used to do something similar to that, where it was just like getting it in front of their face, hoping that they make a decision. One thing that we've really started to implement, ironically, right before conference, is kind of using some sort of a scarcity model.
Okay.
What we kind of do is, for example, we just did like a winterization fertilizer application,
Okay.
and then we purchased X amount of pounds of fertilizer. We could have always gone back and purchased more fertilizer if we had the demand, which we ended up getting more demand than supply. But in the email, we said that we took our average property size, and let's say that each, so like 15 pounds of fertilizer covers our average property. So if I know that number, I can realistically say, hey, we only have spots for 15 customers with our current supply of fertilizer. These are going to go quick. If you would like to reserve your place on our schedule, here's what your normal price would be. However, we do want to, just fill up our schedule as quick as possible. So if you can just reply with yes, or in like Copilot, you can do like an email link. I'm not sure what software you're using, but if you can reply with yes, we'll give you a 10% discount. We'll get your spot reserved in our schedule. We'll reserve that inventory for you. Just something super simple like that. It adds scarcity, and it's way more simple than having to. If you don't provide instructions on how to continue to get scheduled for the customer, they're not going to respond because they just don't know what to do. But if you can make it super simple, where it's like simply reply with yes if you want to get this reserved, we found a crazy amount of demand for this. Like we only sent that to our lawn mowing customers, and we had like 470 lawn mowing customers, and I think we got like 60 fertilizer jobs just off that one email blast. And it was because we introduced that scarcity and then a simple instructions for the customer to follow to get scheduled.
Gotcha.
And I know you can implement that however you see fit. It's not necessarily about being the best marketer, because I feel like I have a degree in marketing, so I feel like I probably shouldn't say this because it's probably going to be wrong. But the way that I view marketing is getting like leads in to your company, and then everything after that I just consider sales. Now I know that's not right by the book. That's just how my brain works.
I the same way. I get that. Yeah.
Right. So everything that you're doing to like generate revenue is going to be sales activities, and anything you're doing to acquire like an email address and a phone number would be marketing. And the only reason I break it down like that for me is I'm got a little bit of ADD in me, so I just have to make it super simple. So if I'm like going to be on marketing activities, I need to get email addresses and phone numbers. And then if I'm going to be on sales activities, I gotta turn those email addresses into money in the bank. So
For sure.
just I don't know. I know that's not one of the questions that you had for me, but it was just on the top of my mind. So
No, I understand. That makes sense.
cool. I know that you sent me over a list of a few questions. Is there anything before we jump into these questions? Are there any other questions that you might have for me?
I don't think so. Outside of the questions we got prepared, I just thank you for your time and asking me to be a part of this.
Yeah, man. I'm super honored that you reached out and asked me to do this. So let's jump into it. So what kind of questions can I help you with?
Yeah, so the first one is probably my most pressing one. As we discussed, I'm moving, so we just moved to our new place. And whole new market, I kind of had to leave almost like not my whole client base, but I left my lawn clients because I had to go where the more revenue was, which is with my landscaping clients, which is in North Austin.
Mm-hmm.
So the question is, when breaking into an existing market, what is the best way, or how do I get the market to trust me as the new guy?
Yeah, so before I answer that one, I would first ask you, how do you know what service area you're trying to be in? I think you moved to Leander, correct?
Yes.
So Leander's a big place. So I
It's
know
huge.
that you want to have like your service area fairly dialed in. Like we don't service all of Round Rock, so we want to like service a portion of Round Rock. How do you know what neighborhoods that you're trying to target?
So I've had I went through I put all my I have Jobber as a software.
Mm-hmm.
So I pulled all the addresses out of the CSV and I threw them into a plotting thing on a map,
Mm-hmm.
and it just showed me exactly where we've done all our work at. So all
Okay.
lawn clients, all landscaping projects, and 75% of them are in Northwest Texas. So that would be Leander, Georgetown, Round Rock, Pflugerville, that area.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to, we were just driving around looking for apartments and stuff, and I was like, oh wait, we're in Leander. Wait, I do work here. So I was like, this is probably where we need to move, one, and then two, the route density in these communities is wild.
Yeah.
Like there's communities that have, and I've run the math, I've counted these houses, anywhere between 500 and 2,000 houses in a neighborhood.
Yeah.
So, and it's just realizing that it's like, the route density is crazy here. No, we don't prioritize. We didn't prioritize lawn care last year, or maintenance, but this year I would definitely like to as a means of cash flow. And depending on who the market is or where we're at, being that we have a background in landscaping, I'd like to just push that either towards mid-season or sometime next year. Like lawn care and maintenance will be what gets us by, but I feel like landscaping and those projects will be that buffer to where we're trying to go.
Okay. Let me just make a note of that. Do you happen to know like your profit margins per if compared from maintenance to project work?
I don't to the dollar.
It doesn't have to be
I've
super perfect, but like if you have like a rough percentage.
I'd probably say on the lawn side, maybe 50%.
Okay.
We're still running a 21-inch Honda and a small setup, like a beginner setup. Next year, I'm looking into commercial things like that. As far as landscaping, we're probably on the smaller margin side. I'd probably say 20 to 40 because of sometimes if I need subs and things like that.
Okay, so is that you do use subcontractors to fill that work for you? Some of
To
the
a
work?
degree, yeah.
To a
Like if I need a mason or something like that.
Okay. I'm trying to pull up a tool that I can show you.
Sure.
With those tight knit neighborhoods, do they have HOAs?
Don't know. I've seen a couple that have like the communities, like they have like their own like office. So I think
Yeah,
that's
they probably do. That's one gold mine that I didn't realize when I first started was HOAs. A lot of the people that reach out, they simply just don't want the HOA to bother them, right?
Wow.
And so from like a company perspective, and Mike talked about this at conference, as like you can make $1 billion company selling $1 hamburgers like McDonald's has done, or
Yeah.
you can have $1 billion company selling the best hamburger in the world. If you're going to compete for the customers that are like $1 million homes, they want everything perfect. You're probably not going to be in the price range of the people that are just going to want to keep the HOA off their back.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that you might want to figure out is what are you trying to offer? If your quality is amazing and like you're confident on your quality, I wouldn't be opposed to just going against like the big dogs, and you might have less on the schedule, but you'll have more money, or you have the higher revenue.
Yeah.
But if you're just kind of willing to cast a wider net and just get who you can get, I would target neighborhoods that have HOAs, because a lot of the times you're going to be dealing with people that just got a notice from their HOA, and this tool ain't working that I wanted to show you. What's your zip code?
78641.
It's taking a while. Yeah, just HOAs. Here we go. I'm gonna try to share my screen if I can in a second.
Okay. What's the tool?
Oh, it's EDDM tool. So I'm gonna try to share my screen.
Is it working? Oh, there we go.
All right. You can see this?
Yes.
Okay, so I think I just went to Google, typed in EDDM tool, and what you do is you throw in your zip code, and what this is going to give you, it's going to give you your demographics.
Okay.
So what these are is these are each mailing routes. So if like the mailman goes out and he's going to drop off mail, this is the routes that he or she takes. So I just selected one route, and you can see that this route has 797 residential houses that age range you can kind of see here. So if your target customer was 45 to 65, 13% of the people on this route are within that age bracket. Their median income is 84,000. Household size, I doubt you care about that. But what you can do here is you can kind of see like this seems like a pretty tight route right here, and there was 797 homes. If you're trying to target a certain age range, you can see the percentage of people there, and then household income, median household income. So if you're trying to go after people that just want to have HOA taken care of, they might have a lower median income. If you're trying to go after, big players, big customers, they're going to obviously have a higher median income. So depending on your business goals, obviously that's not for me to tell you, but depending on your business goals, here's just a cheap or a free quick tool, just to kind of give you guidance on if you're trying to have a super tight route or density of a route, you can go in here and try to find your ideal customer.
Got it. And this is just a EDDM tool on Google?
Yep. So I just typed in EDDM tool, every door direct mail. This is another marketing tool. So really what we use this for, and 7641, is if we want to send out like every door direct mail, you can come in here and you would design your own mail piece, and then you would just select your routes. So like if I select this route, this tells me that I have to pay $185 to send out 936 pieces of mail to that one route. That's what we use it for, but you can also use it to find demographics in your service area. Just a cool tool. Didn't know if you knew about that.
No, I've known about EDDM. I just haven't used it or known really how to. So
Yeah.
That's a great tool. Thank you.
Ironically, we haven't gotten a whole lot of like great response from EDDM.
Really?
Yeah, well, I thought we've had pretty good designs and pretty good offers. I'm gonna have to do some A/B testing on EDDM because it's a big time saver. We haven't really got a huge response. I think we probably did it at the wrong time of the year. But if we do it this year, if we get a good response, I'll let you know.
Okay.
Cool. So how to build trust. So there's two ways I think you can do this. Ultimately, it comes down to getting somebody to agree to have you work for them initially, and then keeping them on long term and retaining them as a customer. So the two ways to build trust is, I think, first you need to build credibility, and then the second you need to generate word of mouth referrals. How you do that is, I would recommend that you've obviously you're going to be in Leander, so create a Google business profile and make that look as professional as possible. Even if you don't have a website just yet, get your Google business profile up. Make sure that your location is added to the maps, and then use strategic keywords like tree trimming in Leander or stuff like that. And then that's going to build credibility. So if you go to somebody and you're knocking on their door, and let's say that you have a flyer that you're trying to give them, you can have a QR code on there that can link them to your Google business profile. Ideally, it will be your website, but if you don't have a website, at least have something on the internet that just shows that you're not some random guy knocking on their door. So that's going to build credibility. The second aspect would be to offer a level of quality that nobody else can offer that customer. Because at this certain stage, you have more time than you have jobs on the schedule, right? So it's not like you are swamped and you're like, I have to get to the next property because if I don't, I won't make it home tonight. You're like, I only have 2 jobs on the schedule today, so I'm going to sit here and just like make this thing look like the White House front yard. You know what I mean? What that's going to do is that's going to have that customer, one, probably be your biggest fan, and they're going to recommend everybody to you. The second is that's going to turn that customer probably into a loyal long-term customer, right? That's only going to help your bottom line at the end of the day. So yeah, build credibility. I would say Google business profile for sure. Before I ever even had a customer with my wife's Ford Focus, I had a Google business profile.
Oh, nice.
I've heard other people say like, you don't have to worry about that, just go knock on a door. But my very first customer, was from a Google Business Profile, if I remember correctly.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow. And it's ironic because I just went through this debacle with Google because we moved, and so my previous address was at my mom's house, which is a real house. When I moved to Leander, I tried to change the address to, well, it's an apartment now, so it wouldn't let me. So when I tried to change my Google address to here, it wouldn't let me. So my account got unverified, and I've just been back and forth with Google for the past week. So it just got re-verified. You could look it up if you'd like. But what happens is they're like, you have to turn off your location because you're not a house.
Turn off your location because you're not a house. That's interesting. Because
So
we have here. I'll show you ours, and I'll pull up yours in a second.
okay. And I was like, I really need that. So
Yeah. No, yeah, for sure. It's huge. So can you see my screen?
yeah.
All right. So like if you pull up our actual location, we are at a post office. We just use a PO box.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason for that is our actual shop space is, here, let's see if I'll pull this up. So like it shows us that we're right here. And this is like an old overlay of a map of like some of the customers that we've had. I've got to figure out how to get rid of that. But really our office space is like right here somewhere.
Oh, no way.
The thing that sucks is I changed Google Business Profile to reflect our new office space. However, from here to here is like a 5-minute drive. But it's two different cities technically. Mm-hmm. So as soon as I changed it over from here, my keywords, because we wanted to target Hutto, my keywords and everything were no longer effective because my map showed that we were in Round Rock. So I no longer started to rank for Hutto. Does that make sense?
Somewhat. Because you moved to Round Rock?
Yeah, so if we want to rank high on Google for like lawn care and Hutto, I didn't think that changing our business address would change that ranking because we were ranking really good for lawn care and Hutto. As soon as I changed our business listing to show our actual shop space, it now shows that we were a lawn care company in Round Rock. But everything on my website was saying that we're a lawn care company in Hutto.
I see.
So it was like competing against each other, and Google was like, I don't got time for this. Just screw this company.
Exactly.
So we ended up going back to a post office. So if you have a post office near you, just get a PO box. That's all our address
I
is.
do. And we have one relatively close, but then I was looking into Google's guidelines, and it says that we can't do it. So I don't know if it's like been updated since, but I'd like to go do a post office because there's one like 2 miles away, and that'd be great. But I don't know why it flagged that.
I think what we did to work around that is technically our address would be like the 3-digit exchange PO Box 105 or something like that. I just did like a pound sign instead of PO. And then this kind of makes it look like we are like a office building or something.
I see.
Now maybe this doesn't work, and if it doesn't work for you, I would not know a workaround, but I would give it a shot. I think this is like, I think our PO box is like $20 a quarter, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Something super cheap. And then we really only have that just so that we can be a listing in Hutto, because my house is not in Hutto, and we're also at the size of company where I don't want my customers to know where my house is at.
Exactly.
Or potentially previous employees that if they quit, I don't want them knowing where I live. Mm-hmm. So we got a PO box, and so I think that would help, because no matter where you go, like let's say you move out of your apartment complex and get a house, you don't have to then re-verify your whole address and do the whole thing. Just get a PO box and pay for the year, and then see if Google can work around that way.
I'll try that. They have this new Google like verification we have to do like by video and show like a lot of proof of documentation.
Oh, interesting.
I went through this like 48 hours ago, so
wow.
It's weird, but. Initially, I wanted to just do a PO box, and I was like, "This is gonna be great," but it's weird.
Is it Straight Edge Lawn Care?
Landscaping. That's it.
Right here. Man, good reviews.
Thanks.
Really good reviews. Let's see.
That is us.
It's awesome. I would look into throwing some really good keywords in here.
Really? Okay.
So whatever services you're like really trying to target, like let's say it's tree trimming or paver walkway. I would say like paver walkway in Leander. Like actually saying paver walkway in Leander or xeriscaping in Leander. stuff like that, because people are going to search paver walkway near me, and it's going to pull their location as if they're in Leander. And so if you're the company that's saying that your paver walkway is in Leander, Google is going to be like, hey, this company is exactly what you're searching for.
I see.
Cool. And then this appointments, let's see, good job. Cool. And do you have an actual website?
I do. It's actually going. We're trying to revamp it for next quarter. So you can. It should be straightedgeatx.com. And I wanted to ask, like, do you have any recommendations for a website company, or because it's been a while and we're just trying to revamp it. I just don't know who to go with.
Yeah, I mean, I'll show you our website. I built this website through WordPress.
Okay.
I've just gotten to the point where I don't even think you can see you can only see this one.
Yeah. I think I saw your website recently. Yeah. I think
Okay.
that's awesome.
So I mean, if you did this through WordPress, if you had some time, honestly, it's super easy. Just watch a YouTube video. It'll take you maybe like an hour to like get the basics, and then you can add on from there. I just don't have the time anymore to like focus on SEO or anything. So we actually just signed up with the website company with Mike.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're in the process of building out our new website. The primary reason that I did that is because we're going to be opening up a second location, and I want them to be able to have us rank for both locations. And I just don't know if I have the skill set to be able to do that for two locations. So if you wanted a super cheap option, build it yourself on WordPress, and then we use a extension called Nitro Pack, and I think that's like $20 something a month. And what it does is it helps compress your videos and your photos, and then it increases your site speed, which Google loves. So I think we pay, I don't know, $100 a year for our domain, $20 a month for like our Nitro Pack, and then probably like another $20 a month for hosting or something like that. So relatively affordable. But if you're trying to just like set it and forget about it, I would go with probably Lawn Care Web Design. I think is their company. It's like $400 a month, and that's pretty reasonable if they get you the results obviously that you're trying to get. Cool. So I think I answered your question on how to build trust and going into a new sector. I would, since you do have more time than I would say money. I don't know your financial situation, but you do have a lot of time if you're going to be starting off a whole new location. Is just knock on a lot of doors and don't sell. So you have your flyers and you're just like introducing yourself. Say, hey, I'm Jaylin. Just moved to the area. We had a really successful landscaping company in Austin, and we decided, to bless Leander with our services. If you ever need anything, here's my information. You have a beautiful property as is, so I just wanted to introduce myself. And then a lot of times they're just going to be like, thank you. And then sometimes they're like, well, we actually do have this crepe myrtle in the backyard. Like, can you do that? You're like, yeah, I have actually time right now to do an estimate for you. And then if you had some extra time and they had like a few weeds in their flower bed, after introducing yourself, go pull a few weeds and then leave. And they're going to be like, wow. You know what I mean? So if you want to know how to build trust, it's going the extra mile that no other company is willing to do.
I see. I did that yesterday for a client too. We finished some coping stone for a pool or retaining wall. And he was cutting his grass when we came back, and I was like, do you mind if I blow this off? He's like, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, so, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then you just follow it up by giving them your information and then say, see you later. But yeah, that's the perfect way to build trust. For sure.
That's it. I guess question 2 would be, what should I focus on? I really ask this question in the angle of, I guess, revenue generation. Because just quick numbers. Right now, this year we're closing in on 150. So by the time we end this year, we should be at 150,000. And next year we do have the pretty steep goal of 500. So it's a big leap, but ironically last year when I was injured, we did 26,000. So I think if we can 4x in 1 year, why not do it again? But I just know that there's some some pain that comes with that.
Yeah, for sure. So the question is, what services should you focus on for?
Yeah, what services or just like what element of business would it be? Like you said, don't sell right now. So I guess there's stages to it. So it'd be like get known, sell, do great work, and then client retention.
Yeah, I don't want to I don't want you to think that I said don't sell at all.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
by you going and knocking on the door, in introducing yourself, nobody likes a pushy salesman, right?
Mhm.
So by you simply being intentional on not trying to sell them anything on that first meeting, you're almost selling them something. You're selling them trust, right? And so if you go and you're like, I see this bush needs to be trimmed, I'll do it for $199 right now. That's a tactic and it will work. But if your goal is trust and building like a reputable company, just start slow in terms of knocking on doors. Now, the current leads that you do have, you're going to sell the crap out of them. You're going to be that pushy salesman, right? You already have
Yeah.
their lead. You're going to want to be like, hey, this we're going to be doing bush trimming right now. I have a spot for 10 people. Would love to like have your hedges trimmed or whatever. So always be selling. That's the saying's like ABC, like always be closing.
Oh, I like that.
But don't be that slimy sales guy because nobody likes that.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, like nobody even wants to answer their door.
Yeah, I found that.
So if you're knocking on their door, nobody answers it. Slide your paper in the door. Maybe pick a few weeds, and leave. And they'll see that on the ring doorbell, and they'll be like, "Oh wow, cool." In terms of what you should focus on going from 150 to 500,000, step one would be stacking as much cash as you can this year because it's going to suck a lot of the cash next year in terms of growth. Because you at 150, I imagine you have one truck, possibly two.
One.
One truck, and then it's yourself, and then and subcontractors.
Yeah. Well, it's mainly like I say me and one part-time person.
Okay. All right. And then out of that 150,000, what would you say your overall profit percentage would be?
We got 40%.
40. And that's going to be cash in the bank.
Yeah. So right now we got about like maybe 25 in the bank.
Okay.
But some of that's been sucked because we just got this in place and paying rent, things like that.
Okay. So 25. That's not bad going into after 150,000 going into the second year. You're going to want to have some cash on hand and you're going to want to deploy it strategically. So always get work before you get equipment would be a focus. Supplement, grow your equipment as the needs grow, right? So I would say hyper focus on a few services because you did mention doing paver walkways, tree trimming, aeration, lawn mowing. You're being too much to too many people. So if you can focus your, let's say like your core four, you find like lawn mowing you said is going to get you through. And then if you can find like the 3 landscaping services that you are going to be the best at, focus on those. And then as you close that job, so let's say you get like a paver patio that you close, and let's say that you're currently using like a hand tamper to like tamp all the base. If you needed like the actual machine that tamps it for you to be more efficient, rent that out, include that rental price to the customer in the quote, and then maybe add on another $100 on top of that, and then save that $100 and put that towards like your fund to go buy the actual automatic tamper.
Okay.
Right. So when you're setting up your prices, include the cost of future equipment that you're going to need, and then set that aside and pay for it in cash as soon as you can. There's no issue in renting equipment and then charging the customer to rent that equipment.
Mm-hmm.
Right. We did that with dump trailers last year, and we had like $350 to rent a dump trailer, and we would just send $400 to the customer, like in the quote. We didn't say like dump trailer rental 400 as a line item.
Right. Yeah.
You'd have to include it in the price, and then our costs were covered by that, and we had a little bit extra to if we wanted to purchase a dump trailer, we would set that aside for a dump trailer. On a smaller scale, we would try to sell a bunch of bush trimming jobs, and we just had like little hand pruners. we wanted to sell a bunch of bush trimming jobs, and we got enough on the schedule to where we could realistically say we're going to go buy an actual, hedge trimmer attachment. Yeah. So have cash and realistically deploy that in marketing if you want to grow, and then focus on core services. And this off season, try to figure out systems and how to simplify those services. Like Mike says, it doesn't have to be a simple service, but you can make that service simple.
Yeah.
Right. And so, like you told your MCL in 2022, if you didn't have a step-by-step process on how to do a paper patio the way that Jaylin does it, the way that Jaylin's customers love how he does it,
Yeah.
if you get another knee injury, your business stops.
Mm-hmm.
And so simplify those services. And if you're doing too much for too many people, you are awesome at what you do. But imagine trying to hire like an 18-year-old kid and be like, okay, this is how you trim this, crepe myrtle. And this is how you aerate. And this is how you do a paper patio. They're going to be like, dude, I don't even know my social security number. Like, how can I do that? You know what I mean? So I would really take some time this off season to say, okay, I'm going to focus on maintenance because that's going to put cash in the account consistently. And then I'm going to focus on paper patio and tree trimming and aeration or whatever that is.
Okay.
And then for all of those services, I would also try to brainstorm on how you can turn those into a reoccurring model. So if it's a paper patio, you could say, once a year we're going to come and pressure wash it or just something and then subcontract it out, or I don't know. Just try to figure out a way to get as much reoccurring models as you can, because especially in landscaping, I kind of look at like real estate agents, right? You're only as good as your last sale, as the last house that you sold, and then you're always hunting for the next one.
Yeah.
And so if you can figure out a way to take the pressure off of hunting for your next sale, that is always going to help you out.
Do you guys have I know you said you have like north of 400 maintenance clients.
Mm-hmm.
Does that help, like having that much like monthly revenue?
Oh, dude. Yeah, it's amazing because we had a guy quit a month ago, and then all this rain and everything, like we were super backed up. So I actually haven't had an opportunity to work on the business and work on sales. Granted, probably a good thing I'm not working on sales because of how backed up we are, but I haven't had an opportunity to do that. I just lost my whole train of thought. So this is the ADD kicking in. Can you ask that question one more time? Oh, the monthly revenue.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So I haven't had an opportunity to sell, and having that monthly revenue takes that pressure off. Because if we're firing on all cylinders, we're doing 70,000, 80,000 a month, and just mowing lawns. Mm-hmm. And then so if we have extra time, if we can hire another person to fill another truck, I can focus on selling bush trimming jobs and all these things. But if all my time is focused on selling, you're actually not focused on fulfillment. And if you don't have a person to handle fulfillment, you're just in like you're like in a vicious cycle.
Yeah.
And so I would if you agree that lawn mowing and maintenance is going to get you through, I would focus on acquiring that base to get you through first. Like in the Army, we call it like your 50-yard target. So if you're like doing a shooting qualification, you have 50-yard target, 150-yard target, 300-yard target. Focus on that 50-yard target first, and then get to your 300-yard target.
Got it. And just for quick numbers, like I said, we're going from 10 clients, and I'm probably going to have to leave them. It's just the brutal honesty is that they're in South Austin. Like we're talking Kyle, and that's an hour plus for us. So obviously, route density is not going to favor me there. So, and my 50-yard target would probably be 100 yards. Mm-hmm. And knowing that I can do that with the push mower, it's going to suck, but it's doable at 10 a day, something like that. That's the goal. So I guess just, and like how we started earlier about building that trust and just going out and knocking doors.
So with those 100 yards, do you do weekly or bi-weekly cuts?
I've never had a weekly cut, so I guess strictly bi-weekly.
We do the same. I actually prefer bi-weekly. We do the same. So that 100 cuts that's 200 customers, right? 100 cuts a week. Are you saying 100 cuts, 100 customers or cuts?
100 lawn clients. So it'd be 100 cuts. Well, no, it'd be 200 cuts a month. Yeah, I have the numbers right here, I think. So 100 yards is 6K a month, and that'd be like 30K net. After, I mean, 3,000 net after like expenses and labor, things like that.
Yeah. No, that's good. So if you have 100 customers, 200 cuts a month, 10 cuts a day at 5 days a week, that's a full-time job, especially with a push mower. Also, be okay with saying no, because if you have a 21-inch push mower and you would say yes to an acre yard, you're not doing 10 yards in a day.
And I've been there. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not fun.
So be okay saying no. So it's like, hey, I realize that 8,000 square feet is my sweet spot and less with my 21-inch push mower, and I can get 10 lawns a day done doing that. So if somebody comes in and they have 8,001 square feet lawn, I'm just going to stick to my guns and just say no.
Okay.
And be okay with saying no. Or be okay with upgrading your equipment to handle the size that you want. So like if the average property size in Leander is 12,000 square feet, you're probably going to want to get something different than a 21-inch push mower.
Yeah, and that was like a kind of second question too. Was like, I don't have a standard, I don't have a commercial, obviously. So it's like, going about it, do you still think it's wiser to get those 100 yards before I go buy a $10,000 mower?
Yeah, so we can make it as simple as possible. So always be under the influence that get work before equipment.
Okay.
And then you're gonna feel your body being like, dude, this 21 ain't doing it for me. And then maybe upgrade. I think we were doing 13 lawns a day solo before I got an employee with a push mower, and I just had to go get a stand on. I was like, if I'm not gonna live next month if I don't get a stand on.
Yeah, man, it's intense, especially in this Texas heat.
Oh, dude, it's horrible. So I went and financed it. They did 0% for 60 months, financed a mower, and I think the payment comes out to like 100 and something a month. And if you can break that down, where if you're doing 200 cuts a month, you're paying less than $1 for each use of that mower.
Yeah.
Right. So that's kind of how you can justify that. But always get work before equipment. And then focus on your 50-yard target. So if your ultimate end goal is going to be landscaping and stuff like that, and you are under the influence that you want to have a lawn maintenance to just get by, focus on getting that base, then focus on getting employees to handle those maintenance customers. Now your job focuses to sales for landscaping, and then you're probably going to want to find employees to handle those landscaping, because now you're going to be handling all 100 customers for lawn mowing. You're going to be handling, cold calls or the whole sales process and follow-up process. So I would, focus on your 50-yard target. And if your 50-yard target is cash flow, focus on cash flow producing activities. Cool. And then 150 to 500,000, I would say it's doable. Just realize that you're going to have both physical and emotional stress going from that big of a loop, and you're not going to see a whole lot of money in the bank at the end of the day, because it's going to suck a lot of cash. I would recommend getting to that 500,000 as fast as possible, and then flipping on profit mode. So as soon as you get to that 500,000, raise all prices to customers.
Okay.
And then you can be like, okay, I can afford good labor. I can afford to pay my guys better, because you're not going to get to 500 without. I would say 500,000. You're going to be 5 employees maybe.
Okay.
I think a good rule of thumb is like 100,000 revenue per employee.
I found that out recently. I thought that's kind of cool.
Yeah, because you're doing 150, but nobody's going to be as good as you, right?
Yeah.
And so 100,000 per employee would be a good benchmark.
Okay.
But then once you get there, raise your prices, your employees get paid a little bit better, and now you have more capacity to fill their schedule, and you're still making the same amount of money, and then you have more capacity to not only fill their schedule with lawn mowing, but now you have some extra labor to help with your landscaping endeavors too.
I see.
Cool. All right. Any other questions at all?
That kind of ties into the third one, which would be how to scale efficiently. But I feel like it's kind of what we all just talked about, just about like get the work before the machines, and then just have that kind of like step ladder mentality.
Yeah. Yeah, and I would also add just to like make sure you know your numbers like spot on. Like what's your break even point, per labor hour? What's your close rate? Because if your price to customer, let's say, is $50 per hour, which I hopefully it's more than that. But if you have a low customer rate or labor rate, you should have a super high close rate. Now, if you
Okay.
have a low customer price and you have a low close rate, you got to fix something, and it's
Hmm.
typically going to be some sort of a system in the back end, customer service, quality, reliability, stuff like that. So
Got it.
there's going to be
And
go ahead.
I said it's served us well. I mean, I guess our close ratio is probably 30-50% because we're expensive. Um, but I've got, like you've seen the reviews, you've gotten a lot of good feedback from the people that understand the value and why we're expensive. Because we show up on time, because we do great work, because we communicate.
Yep.
So I see that, but then I fear coming into a new market, there's some people here who have either lacked on the professionalism, and then the cheapness reflects that. So clients are okay with it being cheap because it's what they're used to. And then if I come in at $50 a yard or 49, whatever, and then they're like, well, why should we trust you? But it's like, this is why. But that takes getting my foot in the door metaphorically and then getting them to understand the value.
Yeah, and then like what comes first, right? The chicken or the egg? So what's going to come first? Your price point or the perceived value and trust from a customer? So you almost might have to take a year and lower your prices per hour to the customer, show them your quality, and then
Mm-hmm.
if what you said is true, where they're used to lower professionalism in this market and like subpar quality, but they're cheap, and you go in there and you can like get in there at a cheaper rate, and this whole first year, first few months, you just show like, dude, there's no way that I'm going to switch to another lawn care company because Jaylin and Straight Edge is just like the company. Then if you
Mm-hmm.
raise your hourly rate by $10, they're not going to switch.
Yeah.
So first, it would be like a $10 million company in Florida coming to Texas and then being like, hey, we're the best company here. It's like, no, you're not. You just
You're not.
you just got
Yeah.
here. We don't know nothing about you.
Yeah.
So show them why you deserve that price point, so that when you do take them to that price point, they're with you,
I got it.
right? So like kind of goes back to the very first question. You got to build that trust and credibility, and unfortunately, you got to get your foot in the door. And unfortunately, sometimes that means lower pricing, especially if you're just starting off a location.
I see.
What is your currently hourly rate to your customers?
I think we're at 65.
65. And dude, I wouldn't say that's expensive at all.
Okay.
To be, it's expensive to you and me because we're not scared to go mow our lawn. So we would never pay somebody what
Right.
we charge to mow our lawn. But there's
Yeah.
people out there that they refuse to mow their lawn,
Mhm.
and so there's that like our. I'll text you our hourly rate.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll text it to you right now. I don't want to put it on here.
Got you.
So I just sent it to you. So that's our hourly rate,
Mhm.
and we we have a good
Okay.
close rate. Yeah, we're like 45 to 55% in close rate with that rate.
Wow.
But we started off probably at like 40 an hour when I was going
Mhm.
solo. To be honest, I didn't even know what my hourly rate was. I'm guessing 40 an hour. But we had to build that trust, and we can get to that point now because we built that trust and quality. So 65, I wouldn't have the mindset that that's expensive.
Okay.
I wouldn't even lower that at all going into Leander.
Okay.
So, do you know your production rate for lawn mowing?
Honestly, I do. It's 1 point. I just had it. On average, so I guess the yards here, well, when I did run this data, was 2,500 square feet from back. Took me either 45 minutes, and if it's overgrown, close to an hour. And that's push, mow, blow with a 21. And these are 2,500 to 3,500 square feet.
Okay, it's taking you 45 minutes. All right,
Mhm.
1 second. So you're mowing 55 square feet a minute, and then you're charging $1.08 per minute. So if a 5,000 square foot property comes in, it'll take you 90 minutes. and you'd have to charge that customer $98 to be at your $65 an hour.
So about like $1 a minute.
Yeah, right now $65 an hour, you're at $1.08 a minute.
Okay.
What's cool is, and I don't mean to be offensive at all, I think that you can increase your production rate quite a bit. When we're push mowing, I think we're at like 120 something square feet a minute for a solo. So if you can maintain your pricing but increase your production rate, this is what that looks like. So let's imagine in this instance there's a 5,000 square foot property and you got them on the account as $98 per cut. If you can increase your production rate to 125 square feet a minute, it would be you could, if you got your square feet a minute to 125 square feet, you can now charge that customer $43, and your close rate is going to go up like crazy.
Okay.
Because at your current production rate with your hourly rate, it's going to be really hard for somebody to justify paying $98 per cut for a 2,500 square foot lawn.
Yeah.
So I think if you're getting pushback by people saying that you're too expensive, I think what they're actually saying, if you break these numbers down, is that your production rate is too slow.
I see.
Right, and I don't mean that offensive at all, because you're probably focusing on quality, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I would really focus on getting your efficiency and your production rate increased, because that allows you to charge the same hourly rate, and then you get more customers out of it.
Got it.
Right, because you're going to get a lot. You're going to go to 500,000 a lot faster if you increase that production rate, because now you're struggling with people trying to approve a quote that's $98 biweekly. But if you improve your production rate to 125 square feet a minute, now you can get 2 customers at the same hourly rate way faster than you'll even get that one customer.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Got it.
Okay, cool. Go ahead.
Oh, that was it.
Cool.
I was just wrapping my head around the numbers.
Yeah. And I'll try to send you a link to this recording as well if you want to run it back.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Did that make sense how I got those numbers?
Somewhat. So, hourly rate divided by, I guess, are we going about square footage?
Yeah, so production rate, we always just go square feet per minute.
Okay. Got it.
So
And something happened to me recently that like blew my mind on perception. Was like I had a guy with me cutting a yard that normally took me 45 minutes, and I had him with me and it took us 22. And I was like, oh, this is what happens when you have help, I guess. And then when you can scale things faster. And obviously, we charge the same amount, got to leave earlier, but it's like you can go that much faster. So
this is going to feed into the next question that you're going to ask me, which is what's something that I wish I knew before that I don't know now. So it's feeding into it perfectly. So if you're charging the same price, so let's say that you have 2 people on a property, are you still charging $65 per hour to that customer?
no, it's what, 32 now?
Well, it would be 100 and 130.
Okay.
So yes, you are right. If you are charging the customer $65, you as a company are only making $32.50 or whatever that comes out to, because now your one hourly rate is divided by 2 people.
Yeah.
But if you're going to put 2 people on a property, you're going to want to double your hourly rate to the customer, because that 65 per hour is not 65 per hour to the customer. That's 65 per man hour to the customer. So if you have 2 men or 2 people, it would be 130.
Got it.
So what you said is another person comes with you, you got that lawn done in 22 minutes. Really, you got that lawn done in 44 minutes because there's 2 people.
Paying for, yeah.
Right. The hack is when you have that person in, that $65 per hour that you're allocating for employee A, and if you're doing P for P and how they have it all set up, you're only paying 33% of that to the employee. Mm-hmm. Right? So now you're getting more work done, and you're getting a 66%, gross margin on that labor. Because from a lawn mowing standpoint, you're not selling lawn mowing services, you're selling labor to the customer. Yeah. That's the mindset that you have to have. Right? So if you can, what we do is we found that 2-person crews are not as efficient as a solo. They're like, I'm going to botch this number, I don't have it in front of me. I think Two-person crews are like 40% as efficient as a solo or something like that.
Ah, okay.
So we base our pricing off of a two-person crew. That way, if somebody goes solo, they're just going to murder budgeted hours.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's just a lot more capacity in their schedule.
Okay.
So I would, if you can, that part-time person, I would go out and mow as many lawns as you guys can. And then say like 1 week, you're just going to do a solo route. So like, hey, I don't need you this week. I'm going to do a solo. Now let's say if you can do 125 square feet per minute, nobody's going to be as good as you. So multiply that by 80%, and that's going to be probably the production rate for an employee.
Okay.
And then take that two-person crew and do the same thing. But now that a two-person crew is with you, you don't have to multiply that by 80%. Maybe like 90% because they're working hard because the owner's with them.
Right, yeah.
And then you're going to get your production rate for a two-person crew and then a solo route. Base your pricing off of that.
Got it.
And then I'm going to share this with you because this kind of goes into pricing. How do I do this? Can you see the screen?
Yeah.
Cool. So how we used to base our pricing was off of production rate, and we still do it off of production rate, but we're starting to switch it up a little bit. So now we're kind of going cost plus is how we're kind of handling our pricing for 2024. So what we've done is we looked at our P&L statements and we took our total expenses. So let's say for easy math, our total expenses was $200,000. We want to minus the materials that we spent. Let's say our materials was $50,000. So now like our net expense cost is $150,000. And then in that same time frame that you're calculating your expenses, you want to calculate the total labor hours that were clocked. And so let's say that we had 1,000 labor hours. I don't even know if this would make sense with these numbers, but I'm just easy math. So $150,000 in gross expenses divided by 1,000 labor hours, yeah, that's not going to make sense at all. I'll increase the labor hours. So let's say like 3,000 labor hours.
Yeah.
I was like, there's no way that number makes sense. So let's say we have 3,000 labor hours. That puts us, so 150,000 divided by 3,000, that puts us at $50, right?
Okay.
So what that's telling us is that for every single labor hour that is clocked, it costs the company $50 to have that person out there. So if you are charging $65 an hour, and let's say that you guys are 75% efficient, $65 times the 75% efficiency puts your effective hourly rate at $48.75. If it's costing you $50 an hour, your company is already losing $1.25 per clocked hour.
Got it.
So this is the importance of knowing your hourly rate, or knowing your numbers, so that you can actually see if you're profitable or not.
Mm-hmm.
So let's imagine that all these numbers still make sense. 150,000 divided by 3,000, you're at $50. Forget this number now, because now I'm just going off of your numbers. So let's imagine that $50 right here is our costs per labor hour, and we want to be, let's say, a 25% profitable company. So we'll take 50 times 1.2, and then we know that our labor is 75% efficient, so we'll divide that by 0.75. This number right here is now 80. So now we know that we need to charge the customer $80 per hour for us to be a 25% profitable company.
Got it.
And then you take your $80 per hour and you divide that by 60. So now you're making $1.30, or you're charging $1.33 per minute. And then you multiply that by your production rate per square feet. So if you're doing a 5,000 square foot property and your production rate is 125 square feet a minute, that's 40 minutes budgeted on the job, and you're charging $1.33. So for this property, you would need to charge $53.20. And then if everything else holds true, you would be 25% profitable net after everything's said and done.
Nice. That's great math. That helps a lot.
Cool. And so this feeds into one thing I wish I would have known, because I just priced blindly. Like I was like 65 sounds good, and then you break it down, you're like, wait, I'm losing $1 an hour. Yeah, because sometimes your cash flow looks great, but then if you actually break it down, like I'm losing $1 an hour right now.
Yeah.
So hopefully this helps out a little bit.
Yeah, it's been great. I've got a lot of notes.
Cool.
I think I'll look this back over and take some more notes.
For sure, man. I know I took a lot of your time, but I appreciate you asking questions and asking me to do this with you.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. It's helped a lot. I look forward to the year ahead and hope you guys have a great 2024.
Yeah, thanks, bro. You as well. And then just reach out if you ever need anything.
Okay. Thank you, Sam.
All right. Thanks, man.